So again, I couldn't resist, you guys. I'm in the state of Washington, and I am very much a user of marijuana, so to say. I couldn't help on the 420 week going ahead and doing a couple of pot stories here. So obviously, one of the things that Joe Biden could do without any approval of Congress is deschedule marijuana and change the way that we deal with drugs in general. Again, if I had my way, we'd legalize everything, but that's at least decriminalize everything. And Portugal is the model for that. If you guys are not aware, Portugal decriminalized all drugs, and in a decade they had cut addiction in half. So if you are truly intending to cut into addiction problems, substance abuse problems, mental health problems in your society, it's pretty clear what the route is. It's not the war on drugs. That doesn't work. In fact, it backfires. It's counterproductive. Anyhow, this is about weed in particular. Joe Biden obviously making some promises on the campaign trail that he has reneged on. This in the New York Post. Ahead of 420, pot prisoners push Biden to honor campaign pledge to free them. This is by Stephen Nelson. On the eve of the 420 cannabis holiday, federal inmates again are wondering if and when President Biden will make good on his 2020 campaign pledge to free, quote, everyone locked up on marijuana charges. About 2,700 inmates are behind federal bars on pot-related charges, even though 18 states and D.C. now allow recreational use of the drug, and 2/3 of Americans support legalization. They include Pedro Moreno, 62 years old, who's serving a life sentence after pleading guilty to distributing weed imported from Mexico from 1986 to 1996. Quote, I will die in prison for marijuana unless I receive executive clemency, Moreno told the Post. All I can do is hope President Biden was sincere when he said he will free all the pot prisoners. Clemency advocates recently met with White House staff and believe Biden may eventually intervene, but that it may not happen anytime soon as other initiatives take priority, such as commuting the sentences of people released temporarily from prison due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Guys, this can all happen at once. What is this like? We have other priorities. Oh my word. Clemency, executive clemency is Biden signing a piece of paper. Someone has already found the 2,700 people in federal prison on marijuana charges right now. So what, you don't got the time, Joe, to sign a fucking piece of paper? Give me a break. Give me a break. We have other priorities. Well, you're not doing fuck all anywhere else either. You're not canceling student debt, which would again be a signature. You're not improving healthcare. You're not doing anything except escalate things in Ukraine. What the fuck are you doing, dude? We got other priorities. Give me a fucking break. It is not easy keeping hope alive when year after year peels off the calendar and I see my grandkids growing up while I wait for a second chance, Moreno said. I want to hug my daughter, Alejandra, and see her eyes light up with happiness. That's all I dream about. That's what keeps me going. Luke Scarmazzo, 41, has served 14 years of a 22-year sentence for running a medical marijuana operation in California and told the Post that he's also struggling to maintain hope. Quote, when President Biden made those statements on the campaign trail, my family and I were very hopeful that our nightmare was finally coming to an end, Scarmazzo said. We are now nearly 2 years into President Biden's term, and we're wondering when he will make good on his promise. Donald Fugit, 37, noted how the country has changed in the decade since he was arrested in 2013. Quote, another 420 and everybody is smoking and making money, but I'm still in a COVID-19 infested prison, said Fugit, a North Texas native who gets out in 2024 unless Biden reduces his sentence. Quote, I've accepted responsibility for my participation in a marijuana conspiracy. Everyone in my case is home except me. This was my first offense. Marijuana conspiracy. You guys, 2/3 of the country wants to legalize it. Take the most mundane product you can think of. Okay, how about milk? What if we called every grocery store selling milk? What if we said you're engaged in a milk conspiracy? You need to go to fucking prison. I mean, Jesus Christ. I engaged in a marijuana conspiracy. Just like the words being put together sounds so outrageous. And if it weren't so harmful to people, it would almost be comedic. But of course, it's ruining lives. We just talked about that Max Alvarez clip where he's talking about like time is all that you fucking have and health is all that you have. Oh, good. So let's throw people in prisons that are COVID-19 infested and like let them rot away, wasting their lives. It is Beyond outrageous. I know I share this anecdote every time that I talk about weed, but I just think it's such a good one. Someone this made the rounds online a long time ago. When the pot shops look like an Apple store, a lot of people need to be let out of prison. And that's where we are now. That's, that's what happened on 420, you guys. I go down a few blocks down the road and I walk into a store and they're doing sales for 420 and I go buy what I want and leave. And there are people sitting in prison for that right now. That's beyond outrageous. And let's also not ignore the race element here, you guys. I've made this point before too. Who is benefiting from each policy decision? So, but pre-legalization, who was suffering because of that policy and who was benefiting from it? The status quo was benefiting, right? Because there are a lot of industries that are threatened by marijuana. So the liquor industry, the beer industry, the wine industry, right? The pharmaceutical industry feels threatened by marijuana. Hemp makes great clothes and paper and all sorts of things, crafts, right? There's good food options there with hemp seeds and things like this. Okay, lots of big industries feel threatened by cannabis and by marijuana. So they're benefiting from the criminalization of the prohibition of marijuana. They get to benefit while who's being punished by that policy? Low-income people and the Black community, right? And then once we legalize, who's benefiting from that legalization decision? It's multimillionaires who can afford to start a grow op or open a pot shop. Largely white, right? Upper class. So who's benefiting? It's the same fucking people that were benefiting from the initial policy get to benefit from the legalization, and who is left to be punished by it or not benefit from it? Those who are still rotting away in prison, who are disproportionately Black and largely low income. So just like notice who these policy decisions are designed to serve. When we legalized or decriminalized, what we should have done is paired that with the release of nonviolent offenders and reparations for their time served. Those two things should have gone together, and expunging their records, obviously. All of that should have been part of the initial legalization push. So now we find ourselves in a situation where most Americans live in a state where it is legal, at least medical. Vast majority of Americans live in a state where at least medical is legal. And we still have 2,700 people in federal prisons on marijuana charges, wasting their lives away for something that is now totally normal behavior, legal behavior. That is an atrocity. That is a disgrace, right? Our justice system does not actually come anywhere close to providing justice, but that's a pretty egregious injustice. And obviously, 420 provides the opportunity to highlight that. I think Biden should follow through on his promise here, but I am not naive enough to expect him to. Let's hope there's some progress on this stuff. Let's hope that some of these people are let out on clemency, but I'm not going to hold my breath.